Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our second session on project management. Today we're going to be talking about the documents that you have available to you within project management. Before we get started, I want to remind you that there are two attachments that are in the web, on the web panel. One is the PowerPoint that we're going to be talking about briefly, and the other is a PDF file with the screens and the information that we're going to cover as we go through the documents section. So if you want to get those at least the PDF file available so you can take notes, we'll go ahead here then and get started. So our agenda for today, we're going to review some of the features and terminologies that we talked about last week in the setup. Just a brief overview of that, and then from there we're going to actually get into the software and go through the transmittals and the minutes and the RFIs, the submittals. I'm going to demonstrate them all to you and then show you what the forms look like, and also I'm going to demonstrate the correspondence log for you, and then we'll also take a look at the field reports that also come with the software. Right, so the features of PJ, the main function of this application is for you to be able to electronically capture information about your projects. And it comes with some of the more common documents that you might want to be tracking. So the submittals, the transmittals, the RFIs, change orders, and we can even create and track meeting minutes. So if you need to have meetings with your customers or internally within your company, you can create agendas with the meeting minutes and then track that, update them with notes and then redistribute so that people see exactly what happened during that meeting. Now you can print the forms and or you can email them. So I'm going to demonstrate to you again how you can send information out of not only just PJ, but any application within Sage has this capability. We're going to take a look at the drawing setup as well, the correspondence log. We'll briefly touch on custom logs. The field reports actually take the place of the custom logs. So we're going to look at some predefined default areas that, again, for more tracking of information about your project. As far as the change is concerned, change management within project management, from here you can do a lot of things with project management that interfaces to job cost and the CN or contract module. So you can, instead of having to go to the CN application to set up contracts, you can create them from inside Project Manager, as well as subcontracts or purchase orders. If you're not using the Sage purchasing module, you can use the commitment option from within PJ or job cost to create your subcontracts or purchase orders, and then use the change request and change orders option within PJ to create those changes, and then when you release them to accounting, they will show up over in job cost. You also have access to entering estimates, entering worksheet information through PJ. You have access to those dollar amounts via reports and inquiries from within PJ. It would access the information over in job cost. And then again, we can set jobs up in PJ and release them to accounting when you're ready. Or if you create the job in job cost, it will automatically set that job up in project management. So it's a two-way street, and depending on which way you go, job cost does it automatically. PJ holds off until you actually send the job over to job cost. And then within the Sage security, we can secure job information in both applications. So you're able to either secure by the task or the option, the setup option, or even the job number itself. Terminology, I think you're all already familiar with this. Just briefly, a transmittal is a cover sheet, or it can be used as a document that you email by itself out to vendors or to other members of your company. That is, has a form to it that you can attach things to. It's kind of a more professional-looking type of document that will then you can then track it within project management. Submittal is another electronic document that you would use to track things that you have sent out for approval. So if you're doing something that requires a color approval for paint or material for flooring or carpeting, along with that sample, you would send a submittal document. And then once you hear back whether it's approved or not, you can track that. And if you need to send additional items, you can use the original submittal so that you can see how many times you've had to make changes or resend different types of things for the same submittal, like paint color or flooring. The RFI, we're going to practice that today. This is where someone is asking you a question, and you may have to, forward it on to others, or they've asked you a question. You're going to record it in an RFI, and you're going to record the answer. Okay, and so we'll practice that a bit. Then we'll also practice the meeting minutes so that you can see how that might work. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into the software right now. And a couple of things I want to remind you of. First being under File, this is not in your document, but under File, Company Settings, PJ Settings, I want to remind you that this is where the system is going to get the forms. So under Document Forms, if you're looking for where it's pulling the Crystal Report design from, this is it. So if you need to make changes to the document, you need to find the one that it's using and then maybe make a copy of that to make your changes, and then be sure to come back in here and lock in the new design for the transmittal or the RFI or the submittal or the meeting minutes. So however or whichever one of these you've changed, use the Browse button on the side. Same with the Change Management tab. For those of you doing change orders or change requests within project management, this is where the form is retrieved from. So again, if you need to change the form and lock in a different form name, this is where you'll do it. And then lastly, if you're using field reports and you don't want to see all of them displayed when you go into that task, you can use this list here to uncheck the ones that you don't want to see under Documents. Okay, so just a reminder there. All right, so the first one that we're going to take a look at is the transmittal. So under Documents, Transmittal, this is the form that you would fill out. Let me maximize that for you. Now I have settings set to retrieve the last job that I worked on. So it's pre-filling my job number up here at the top, but you can always override that, use the drop-down, or use the Find button, either the Find button here or the Find button over on the far right-hand side. The system will number your RFI, so it's going to increment by 1. So this number field over here in the upper right-hand corner is automatic. If you're going to send this transmittal to anyone, in the 2, you can either use the drop-down, and it will give you a list of persons, or you can use the binoculars. And this is where you can change from a person view, which is the default, to either a job contact or distribution list or a company view. And then you'll go ahead and find the person that you want to send this to. And then if you're carbon copying, again, you can use the CC area, use the drop down, again, to pick, or use the find button. And here, if you have a distribution list set up on the job, you can pick, and when you select that distribution list, it'll grab everybody on the list and pulls them in automatically. I'm not going to do this. Oops. Okay. All right. So that was one thing that we talked about last week is being able to create distribution lists that will quickly pull people into either the to or the CC box. Give it a subject. And then go ahead and check off any of these so that it shows on the form that you actually are attaching something. So you can check the boxes. And then if you pick other, you can give it a title here. And then down below in the grid, you can attach information. So here you just pick what type of attachment you want. And then when you click OK, it will actually bring you out so that you can browse out and find the document that you want to attach. Now, if you do attach, it'll pre-fill in here. You can send, say, how many copies, a date, a description. And then down below, again, more things for you to check for the form. And then there is also a remarks area. I'm going to demonstrate the emailing capability here for you too. All right, once you have your form filled in, you'll go ahead and click the Save button over on the far right-hand side. And then from there, you can click Print if you want to get a hard copy, or do a print preview so that you can see what it looks like. Takes it a minute to load here. Okay. So this is the standard transmittal form that comes with the software. You can come in with Crystal if you want to make changes to it. You can. Most people will come in and put their logo, might change some of the stuff here at the top. This pretty much matches the screen that we use to enter the transmittal. That is something, though, that you cannot change. So if you're looking to add another checkbox or another area of text to that screen where we entered the information, you're not able to do that. But the form itself, you can change any of the text. You can add logos. You can remove some of these if you don't want to see it. That part's not a problem. Now, when you get ready to send, use the Send button again over here on the far right. This brings up a screen where it pre-fills with your default sender, which should be you. That you should have entered that in Send Settings under Setup. So it's pre-filled here with, I'm going to send this to myself. It's pulled the transmittal in as a PDF, and it's used that description as the subject. So if you need to change the subject area, go ahead and change that. And then down here in the message area, you will need to type your message and sign your name. The system does not automatically pull in any signature areas from Outlook if you have that set up. Okay, then once you're ready, just click the send button. And this also takes it a minute to do the send, and it actually is going to come up here with a message, I think. Come out here. I think it does come up and ask if you want to. We'll wait, and we'll give it a second here for that to happen, which it is. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and allow this. I think if you check Outlook, I think there is a way to avoid this warning message, but I'm not sure exactly where that is. If you haven't changed Outlook, you're going to get this every time you try to send an email out of Sage. So let me see now. It should be coming through. And there it is. Okay, so it's got the subject, it's got the body, it's got the attachment. All right, now buttons on the side. Let's review the buttons real quick because they are the same in all the documents we're going to look at. If you're creating a brand new transmittal, you can, after you've gone in and done one, just hit the new button and it will refresh your screen. And again, it increments up here to the next number. If you need to find a transmittal, you can take a look at it here, use the find button, and give it the number. Okay. And then OK that, and it brings it back and shows it to you. If you want to use the previous button or the next buttons, you can toggle between the transmittals. Anytime you make a change on any of the forms, before it lets you go to the next screen or close out, it wants to know if you want to save it. So if you can get in the habit of just clicking the save, or when it prompts you, just go ahead and say yes. If you need to delete a transmittal, there's a delete button here. If you need to, again, print or send, if you have set up any custom fields for the transmittals, they will be located here. You have to set those up under File, Company Settings, Custom Fields. If you want to attach anything to the transmittal, use the Attachments button. This is like in all the applications where you have a Notes area and then a File Link area. When you're done, just click the Close button, and that takes you out. All right, the next document that we are going to take a look at, now in your handout on the PDF file, the transmittal is on page 1, and then a sample, part of the sample of what it looks like is on page 2. Page 3 is the submittals. So you're sending something out for approval. So under Documents, you're going to select Submittal. This is on page 3. Okay. All right, so when this comes up, you can go ahead and give it a spec section if you want to reference this on the form. It's going to number your submittal. The number field is down below. Give it a description. Okay, so maybe we want paint here. Now, down in the grid where it says revision, it's always going to start with revision 0. This is the original submittal. What you want to fill out here is the date that you sent it. Maybe you received it from the vendor today and you sent it out today. When it comes back, that's when you're going to fill in the return date and the status, okay? Whether it's been approved or rejected, okay? And then if you forward it on, you'll put in a forward date and then remarks. So down here under the distribution information, who did you receive the paint from? So we're going to pick I guess from me, that'll be fine. We're going to send this to, typically you would pick someone on your project. You're sending it to someone either from within your company or someone at the customer site. And then when it comes back, that's when you're going to fill in who returned it back to you. And then if you forward it, who are you going to forward it to? Then down here for the dates, you need to know, okay, I need it back by the 19th. Oops. Actually, let's start it on the 17th. I need to finish it on the 19th, and I need it to be on site on the 20th. And then I can fill in actual dates down below. And copies to send, this is pre-filling off the job. I'm just going to send 1 and 1 here. All right, so let me save this. This is a very simple form that you're going to send with the sample that you're sending out. So let me preview that. So this is just a one-page simple form. Again, you can modify this with Crystal. Okay. And then when you expect it returned, in this area, there's a place for them to either stamp it or initial it that it's been approved or rejected. And then they will send this back to you. And at that point, get into PJ here. Let me close out of here and come back into the document, to the submittal. And this is where we would find our submittal. And we would complete this grid. Now, if it was, maybe they returned it like we asked, and the status was approved, and then we could put some remarks in here, or they returned it, the status is rejected. And over here we can say color, no, right? And then we can add another revision here. We're going to send it out again. So we're going to send this out. We're going to send it back out again on the 20th. And then we'll wait for it to come back. So we're getting another sample, and so this is our first revision on the original. Here we might say new color sent. All right, and then I can go ahead and print this out and attach it to the next sample. Yep, and so I save. Now the other thing that's happening here is the submittal is now being tracked in a log. So if I go to my, where is it? Submittal log. And I look here under my job. And I look here, there's my specs, by spec section. And there's my, and I can drill down and I can see how many, what the revision, what the status is on the first revision, and then if I've sent any more revisions out after. So that's all part of, this is all being recorded in a submittal log for me. Now in your handout, I have shown you the screenshots for the form. I've also shown you on page 4, the inquiry for looking that up, and then on page 5 is a sample of the form itself. Right, the next document is an RFI, request for information. So again, my job is pre-filling again because I've told it to in PJ settings. It's incremented the number. It's starting, this is a brand new RFI. It's locked in based on the job setup. This is who we are going to send the RFI to when we do the email. And then we'll give it a subject. If we need to attach a drawing, we can use the binoculars and we can pull a drawing number in. If we need to reference a spec section, we can use, again, the drop down for that. And then in the issue area, you'll type in your question. And then who submitted it is also pre-filled by the setup on the job. And then who did we receive the question from? We can lock a person in there. And if they have a number, or if you want to track a receipt number for these questions, you can lock that in here. When you get the answer back, so first let me save this. Save, and then I'm going to print so you can see the default. Okay. So you'll email this document out. They will fill in the response. They might handwrite it in and then scan the document back and email it back to you, or they might just type their response in an email. Regardless of that, this is not an interactive form. So when the form comes back, you're going to have to open the form up here in Project Management. And then you'll have to cut and paste the answer in or type the answer in yourself. If there's an impact to the project, you can check the box that it's going to be a scheduling impact and how much time. If there's going to be a cost change, you can check the cost checkbox and you can put in the amount. So there may be, the question may be something that does impact the overall project. Right, and then down here you can put in who answered, what date did they answer it by, and then if this needs to be forwarded. There is a status field here, so if you want to do something with this status, you can. You can actually add to the drop-down list in custom descriptions. And again, all of this is for reporting. And then you can go ahead again and save. And if we close out of here and go to Inquiry, to RFI and RFI Log, we'll be able to see the information. And that's for a change request on that. But you'll be able to see, we can even add, we could, I think, add the answer to this. Let's see if we can. Yes. So if you want to add the answer to the inquiry, you can. So in your handout on page 6, I've got the screenshots for the entry and also for the email. And then I've got the form on page 7. All right, meeting minutes on page 8. Again, it's going to populate with the job that I've been working on. And I can create a new meeting. Let's do that. Now, there's a type here. You can identify meeting types again in custom descriptions. These are the ones that come set up by Sage. So we'll just do that as pre-construction there. Okay. All right, and this is the screen for us to set up our meeting. So starting up at the top, it's numbering the meeting numbers for us automatically. I'm going to put today's date in as our meeting date. The purpose is, I'll just call it document training. Okay. The start time. This is military time for you to enter in here. Let's see, where's my... So if it's an afternoon meeting, make sure that you put something, like 1 o'clock would be 1300 hours. So, but it's going to, and it will convert that when you print the form. But the entry is military time. And then if there's going to be another meeting, maybe we're not going to complete. We're going to have a follow-up maybe the next day, and maybe it's at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so that would be 1400 hours. Okay, then who's preparing it? It's going to default to you as the default sender. You can change that if you want to. Use the drop down or the find button. Who do you want to attend this meeting? Again, use the drop down or the find button. So me, and we'll make George come to that. And then we can carbon copy others to let them know that we are having the meeting. Down in the subject area, the subjects are numbered with a combination of the meeting number dash the item number. So meeting number 1, item 1, we're going to talk about, let's say, submittals. And then you can lock in who the person is that's responsible for that discussion. And when is it due? It'll be due to during the meeting. And then 1-2 is the second item that needs to be talked about. And who's responsible for that? We'll make it me today. Okay. Now, farther down below, you have an area where you can give more of a description. And you can actually, we can go back to meeting number 1. So I put my cursor in the item field and I use the arrows here on the side. So you can toggle between the items that you've got listed up here at the top, or you can add a new item down here instead of adding them up here on the item grid. Okay, so you'll fill in, again, who's going to attend, what the subjects are going to be, a more descriptive detail if needed, and then you'll go ahead and save. And we'll just print this so you can see what it looks like, and you'll email this out to the participants of the meeting. Okay. And it gives you a nice agenda for people to follow when they come to the meeting. And again, this is a Crystal report, so you can change it if needed with Crystal Report Writer. Just be sure that you change the design name in PJ settings so it knows to grab the new form. All right, then you'll close. Once you've the meeting has happened. You'll come back to meeting minutes. You're going to view or change an existing meeting. And this was pre-construction, so we want to make sure that we get to that meeting. Okay. And now we can start to modify the meeting minutes themselves. So we can say, well, they both attended. And then when we get down here, we can say the training was completed, and we can close it. So you can either check it here and then put a date, and notice it marks it up here at the top. And then we might go to the next one, and we can say not completed. Okay, so it's not closed. And again, we can then print this out, save it and print it, or we can save it and close it, go back into meeting minutes, change or create a new meeting based on a previous meeting. So we are going to say we want to base it on this previous meeting because we have unfinished business. So notice it's now meeting number 2. The date has been changed. The time has been pulled off the next meeting information from meeting number 1. So it knew that we were going to meet tomorrow at 2 o'clock. This should end at 4 o'clock. And we may not need another meeting. Hopefully we won't need another meeting. So we can actually, I think we can actually blank this out. We're going to try to finish this up. Okay. Then notice what's here in the grid for the items. From meeting number 1, item number 2 has been carried over. And meeting number 2, item number 1 for it, we're going to talk about the correspondence log. Okay. And we're going to do it on this date. All right, we can save this and then print it, and I'll show you how it looks then on the form. Under old business, it's carried over the item from the previous meeting, and then it's created new business for the items that should be taken care of in this current meeting. So you can continue to update and add, close items on these meetings, and it will continue to pull in the stuff that is not closed. So it's a nice way to track discussions that are ongoing, maybe problems on the project, and you've got it all recorded in these meeting minutes. So let me close out here. And then again, under inquiry, we do have a meeting log. And we can see it by job, and then within each job by type. So here are my 2 pre-construction meetings. So in your handout, again, I've got the screen for setting it up. Then on page 9 is the email at the top, and then down below is the what it looks like, the form, what the form looks like. Right, the next thing I want to talk about with you is the correspondence log. Okay. So this has got a lot of stuff in here. So this is something that you can use to track emails, to record, not record, but not record the actual phone call, but record the fact that there was a phone call, and then put your comments and stuff in there. What I'm going to demonstrate to you today is how to pull an email into the correspondence log. So let me close out of here and go out to my email. And so we've got a email here that I'm going to pull into the correspondence log. Now, one of the things that you need to be sure that you have activated is when you open up the email, you should have an add-in option here. And when you click on it, the add-in, one of the add-ons should be Add to Log. This is the correspondence log that interfaces with project management. If you don't see that, then you need to, within Outlook, you need to go to the COM add-ins, and you should see the PJ correspondence log listed there, and it'll probably be unchecked. You need to check it, and then you have to close out of Outlook and come back in order for it to be activated. Now, the Add to Log only shows up when you have the email open. When you're outside, you don't have it up here. There is no add-on, or if there is, there's not an option for PJ. You have to physically open the email that you want to add to the correspondence log. Once you've done that, then you can click Add-ins and you can click Add to Log. It should be there. When you click it, it will bring up if you're set to pull in the last job you worked on, it'll pre-fill. Otherwise, this job will be blank and you just need to use the drop-down or use the Find button to find the job that you want to add this to. Give it a description, a status, maybe so that you can see that on the correspondence log. If there's action, maybe this is something that's due by the end of the week. Maybe it's high priority, so we're changing the urgency. Again, you can put in a spec section. Under type, you can add to this type field with custom descriptions. And then sent via, I would leave this as, this is an email, so leave that at email. But if you're doing something inside the correspondence log manually, you have the options to change the sent via to either phone or mail, or maybe they brought it in person, or it was part of a meeting. All right, then click OK. It's telling us here that it's not going to send this over to project management until you close the email. So I always just leave that on. It doesn't matter. Just click OK, and then close the email. Oops, come on. Fine. What? What are you doing? Close. Yes, fine. Oh my gosh. Sure. Whatever. So what I was trying to get that was that little message that popped up briefly that said that it created the entry in project management. So now if we come back and take a look at the correspondence log for that job, we will see that that is now there, right here on the bottom, on this bottom line. Test email from PJ. There was action required. We don't have the urgency in here, so let me see. Let's do hide show columns. Urgency, let's add that. Okay, and so now we've got the urgency in here so we can see. So this is just a good way to track your emails, your phone calls that have been made. You can use the attach button here on the side if you want to attach any Word documents that you've created about the project and you want them here on the correspondence log. You can do that with this attach button here. So So again, it's a good way for you to track, especially on if you're running into a problem with the project. You've got all of that information here. Now, what doesn't get recorded in the correspondence log are any of the emails that you sent out on the documents. So the RFI, the meeting minutes themselves, the submittals. In order for those to be in the correspondence log, after you send, you need to go out to email and attach the sent email to your correspondence log. So here we sent, if I go to my send, here is the sent email that we did. So I would need to open this up and attach it. Okay. All right, so the correspondence information in your handout on page 10, I've got the screen itself, which is right here, and then I opened an email in Outlook, and then on page 11, after I clicked on the add to log, this is a screenshot at the top of what you would fill in, and then this screenshot in the middle is the message about it. You have to close the email in order for it to go. All right, drawing logs or drawing log, just quickly. Here's where you could set up, discipline could be, parts of the project that are going to have drawings. And then down below, this is where you add your drawings here. So you have to add the drawing number, the title, the date, and then whether these are revisions, okay, or sketches. And then use the paper clip here to attach. Use the file link to attach the actual drawing into this log. And then when you do your transmittals, you can pull in the drawing, and it should pull the drawing file as an attachment. So this is something then that has to be built. Now, if you're going to do a revision to an existing drawing that's out there, you just do new revision. Okay. So here it's only going to show current. It's this checkbox right here. So if I cancel that and uncheck this and then do a new revision, the original stays on. Or the same with the sketches. Okay. It just gives me a blank space here where I can keep the original but then have the sketch out there. Okay. Field reports. So these are the predefined field reports that come with the software. These are hard-coded. You can't change them. Darn it. Come on. Okay. So here we go. So you would need to, if you want to do a new field report, you would click New. And then it's going to show us all a tab for each one of the field reports that we marked that we wanted to be available in PJ settings. So if you're recording the weather, this is where it defaults to. If you want to, oops, yes, I know. Let me get the job number in here. Where are you? So let's just do it here. Okay, and I can record. I can record time in here. This does not interface. This tab does not interface to payroll. So if you're recording non-payroll time, you can lock it in here. This interfaces to your payroll. No, it doesn't. So it says employee, but it's not. So this is somebody else outside the company. The payroll time, this is the one that's going to pick up your employees. And this does have an interface to payroll, so you can enter time in PJ, and you can then click the button to send to payroll, and it will actually write records into the new .prt file that can then be processed. If you don't want that capability, this is one of the ones I would uncheck in PJ settings so that you don't accidentally, or someone else doesn't accidentally record time and send it. So I would eliminate that out of the field reports. If you want to track your subcontractors, you can. If you want to track equipment that's on site, material that's on site. So just so you have an electronic copy of some of these things that happen out on the job site. So there are screenshots on page 13 of going into the field report area, filling out the weather report is on page 14. Right. Close out of there. Close out of here. So I think, okay, those are the documents within project management, the forms that you can fill out on the screen, and then what the forms actually look like, some of the inquiries that you can run on that, the correspondence log, which is very important for recording your emails. For some reminders here, make sure that you set yourself up as the default sender so that pre-fills when you go to do an email out of Sage, out through Outlook. If you haven't set yourself up within Address Book, be sure you set your company up, then go in and set yourself up as a person attached to that company. And then all the forms can be modified with Crystal. So any of the forms that you see, and I would go in, you guys, and practice. Go in and set up some of these forms and print them out so that you can see what the defaults look like. And then you can use Crystal Report to add logos, put in additional text if you need it, and then save that new design with a different name, and then go back in to your PJ settings and have that particular document access the new Crystal form. All right, so I think we'll answer any questions that you guys might have. So if you want to use the chat area on the GoToWebinar, Tina can read me the questions if there are any. If you can't think of anything right now, but you do later, if you want to go ahead and send your questions to Tina, she'll forward those to me, and I'll be happy to get back to you as soon as I can.
Not seeing any questions at this point.
Okay. We'll just give it a minute if they want to think about it.
Still nothing.
Still nothing? Okay. Why don't we go ahead and finish the meeting then? Just as a reminder, if you think of anything else, just go ahead and send that on to Tina, and she'll be happy to send it on to me. So thanks for joining us today.